And on to Rogue, we have Scab's Cutter Butter. Can this get nerfed? Can this get nerfed? Please?
Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video. And where are the nerfs? Where are the nerfs? I wanted to make a video talking about kind of the complacency, the dulldom, the boredom that is standard right now, and how we haven't really seen a balanced patch for quite a while in today's Hearthstone. In old years Hearthstone, this would be normal. But yeah, we haven't seen anything, I think, since the mini set came out, where we saw First Day of School go to 1 mana and Hand of a Doll go to +2/+1. And yeah, it's basically been the same since. We thought we would get a balanced patch with the latest update that, you know, with the newest legendary thrown in, but nothing. And I would still expect there to be a balance patch before the next expansion comes out. If you remember last year before Skullman's, there was like a balance patch like the week before the expansion came out. Nerfed a bunch of Demon Hunter stuff, and I don't think we're in a problem like that where we have something like out of control like Demon Hunter. But right now the meta is very unfun, very stale. For a lot of people, just not interesting. A lot of people, if you check out like streams, a lot of people just aren't streaming standard. And I just know from the general consensus I've read about, people just aren't super interested in standard right now. So what would I do to freshen things up, you know, spice things up a little bit before we go in the next expansion and maybe open up some room for, you know, some slower archetypes, because it looks like we're getting slower quest lines and all of that. So with Demon Hunter, I don't think there's a heck of a lot you would nerf. Demon Hunter is pretty reasonable right now. The card you hear the most about is Illidari Inquisitor. King Rush, you know, it's pretty ridiculous at 8 mana. It's basically a Wind Fury minion that has charge / rush, goes face, can be brought back with N'Zoth. The only change I would maybe make to this is make it 9 mana. But again, if you take this away from Demon Hunter as it stands, they have no finisher. They don't really have a great way of winning, and then you're stuck with OTK Demon Hunter. I feel like this is a card you might nerf down the road, but not quite right yet. So Demon Hunter, I probably wouldn't hit up, but that's kind of the card you would look at. With Druid, Druid is definitely problematic. The token Druid thing is just one of those archetypes that is just really unfun. You can lose the game on turn 1. Turn 1, Gibberling, you can lose the game. I remember when Gibberling was a Filet Teacher, a 4-mana 3/5 that would give you a 1/1 after you cast a spell. Now you do that for 1 mana. And yeah, when you have cards like Lightning Bloom and Nature Studies, it gets out of control pretty quickly. And I feel like the Gibberling high rolls are one of the more frustrating aspects of Token Druid, because it creates an unanswerable board state really early that just leaves people really frustrated. I would make Gibberling, I don't know, 2 mana, something like that. Bump up the mana cost of it. It's not really what I feel like Token Druid should be doing. Plus, you know, they added this cool new card into the game. You have Deviant Dreadfang. Why would you play this to get a 4/2 rush for 8 mana when you can just get a bunch of 1/1s you could buff immediately on like turn 1 with Gibberling? So I'd like to see maybe Gibberling. Gibberling is one of the cards I could see getting hit. The other card would be Arbor Up. Arbor Up is pretty gosh darn ridiculous at 5 mana. At the worst, it's a 5 mana 6/4 across 2 bodies. You get two 3/2s, right? At the worst, 5 mana 6/4. But you have literally any minion on the board, it's busted. And when you couple it with a card like Solar Eclipse, then it gets absolutely ridiculous. I feel like Arbor Up just feels like it should be a 6 mana card. I just feel like Arbor Up should be 6. It seems a little bit silly at 5. And I mean, you'd even have the curve work out with like Glowfly Swarm into Arbor Up, right? 5 into 6. Those are the 2 cards I would look at nerfing Druid going in the next expansion. Again, trying to open some things up, because right now Token Druid is arguably the best deck in the game, and it just makes for a lot of non-games, a lot of frustrating games. Hunter, I don't think you nerf anything. Face Hunter's a really good deck. It's very frustrating to face if you're playing a greedier, slower deck, but it's quite punishable by armor gain, by healing. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in Hunter. I probably wouldn't hit it at all. Mage as well. As much as I don't like Incanter's Flow and as frustrated as it makes me, I wouldn't nerf it quite right now, because basically Mage is nothing going on. You have Spell Mage and that's it. And that deck is like tier 2, tier 3. If you want Mage to be completely unplayable, I guess you nerf that, but overall, we'll have to wait and see what Mage gets, because that new quest line looks incredibly slow and hard for Mage to pull off. So yeah, I would not touch a single card in Mage. Paladin as well has been nerfed a ton. For Wild, I'd love to see Conviction get nerfed a little bit. I think that card at 1 mana deal 9 is a little bit silly, just a little bit. But other than that, Paladin's been hit enough, and it's not the top tier juggernaut, and I don't think it's oppressing nearly anything. The Libram stuff's really good, but it's not out of control. I think you'll leave Paladin alone as well. Priest, we have talked about ad nauseum. I still feel like you want to nip the created by Infinite Chain in the butt, whether that's making Raise Dead a 2 mana card. I would love to say 1 mana, but Wand Maker's a card, but more realistically, just get 1 friendly minion that's died this game. And of course, it's his Warlock as well, which sucks for standard, but it is what it is. It's what happens when you make dual class cards. The other card is Renew. Maybe you make it so it's 2 mana, or can't discover. You do the whole discover, can't discover thing. And then, of course, Palm Reading is one of the big offenders as well. Love to see that go to like 4 mana. Don't have to do all these changes. It'd be like 1 of them or 2 of them. And Mind Render Lucia, just delete the card. Just outright delete it. One of the big... Okay, I'll just go into why I think Mind Render is so frustrating is... Priest is a great control class. It does everything really well. It removes, it heals, it does a lot of stuff, but typically control's weakness is combo, right? Combo, but the existence of Mind Render Lucia makes that null and void. And plus, Mind Render is probably going to steal questline minions and all of that. This card's just a mistake. Nobody will be able to convince me otherwise. This card should not have been made. It's too cheap. It's too ridiculous. I delete it. I nuke this card. This card is so silly, and it frustrates me that it exists in Priest. Maybe other classes could get away with it, but Priest that has all these insane control tools should not have the most insane anti-combo tool as well. It just kind of like... They should be really strong against aggro, but they shouldn't be really strong against combo at the same time, if that makes any sense. I'm with Rogue. Rogue's not incredibly powerful right now. Miracle Rogue is a very good deck, but I think having a very good deck is quite all right. The only card that we would reasonably possibly see get nerfed, not now, but in the future, be Octobot, but I wouldn't really touch Rogue at the moment. It's a good class, not a great class. Field Contact, again, is a strong card. Like, it allows for really cool stuff. I don't think you touch Rogue. Rogue's in a good spot. Of course, you know, for like Scabs Cut or better. Nova. You know how Nova is about this. Shaman's the interesting one. Shaman, again, went from unplayable to one of the top tier classes, and yes, there are some adjustments that I think could be made for Shaman that doesn't make it unplayable, but makes it a little bit more reasonable. We've seen what the power of a 1 mana 1/3 that infinitely scales can be. I kind of would like to see Wailing Vapor. I mean, if Mana Worm's a 1/2, why is Wailing Vapor a 1/3? I don't know. You could argue that Wailing Vapor should be a 1/2. I think it's a little bit silly. The only other card that I would think about nerfing, and it's not even really a nerf, honestly, it's reverting a buff. Remember, they buffed Lilypad Lurker to a 5/6 because Shaman was so bad. It did nothing at the time, and now Shaman's really good, and I think you knock Lilypad Lurker back down to 4/5, it's still not really good, and maybe those little adjustments make Shaman a little bit less frustrating. Honestly, a lot of the frustration comes down to Doomhammer about how this card just kills you from in-hand. It's not interactive, not fun, but we're getting a new weapon tech and all that in the next expansion that's a little bit more flexible, so I'm not really on board for like nerfing a Rockbiter. Well, you wouldn't nerf Rockbiter, I don't know, Storm Strike. Again, I think Lilypad Lurker, Wailing Vapor, something like that, you could just slightly adjust, but overall, I don't think Shaman's that out of control. Like, it's really good, but it's not at that absolute broken level that we've seen Shaman at before. So those would be my suggestions, but again, you don't have to go down that road. You're definitely not nerfing a Warlock card. I know Raise Dead might get hit in the crossfires with the Priest up, but my goodness, Warlock is bad in Standard. It's pretty good in Wild, but this is not Wild-based nerfs, and they don't nerf in Wild anymore, really, honestly. We basically have given up on that idea, so yeah, Warlock, you definitely don't want to touch. Warrior, same thing, like Rush Warrior is pretty good, but again, it's just a pretty good deck, and Control Warrior doesn't got much going on. It's an okay middling deck, but you don't hit any of the Warrior stuff, I don't think, either. Again, like, what are you really going to hit in Warrior anyways? And then the neutral set, I still would love to see Broom get hit at some point. I know it's not super prominent right now, but I feel like this is always going to be a problematic card down the road. Giving everything Rush is so incredible. It'd just be nice if it gave, like, 1 minion Rush, because, you know, it rides the Broom. One thing, how do 7 minions or 6 minions fit on one Broom? I don't quite understand even thematically, but looking through the neutrals, I don't think there's really much that needs to be changed. One consideration could definitely be Venomous Scorpid. 3 mana 1/3 poisons, discover a spell is pretty darn good, flexible. You can't ignore the minion. It's pretty ridiculous. If this went to 4, I would totally understand it, and I think it would still see relevant play. Probably the most common thing I see people wanting to change is Alexstrasza, that it's too good a burn, but it's 9 mana, deal 8. Like, it's a 9 mana finisher. I think that's perfectly within reason. I don't see any reason to change an Alexstrasza. And if we look through the neutrals, I think everything's relatively balanced. It's a lot more about class cards in Hearthstone these days. Neutrals don't like have that huge impact, and when they do, they typically get nerfed, like a Penflinger and all of that. But yeah, those would be my suggestions of what cards I could see getting adjusted. Not all of them, but just a general, like, what I could like to see get nerfed going in the next expansion, freshen things up for a little bit of the meta before that happens. And let me know in the comments below, would you nerf anything? Do you agree with any of these? Would you buff something? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.